Now is the time when we pause and focus on the most evil moments of all of human history. We're going to focus on the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So I'm going to begin our devotional time by reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 26. I'm going to start in verse 32, and I'll be reading from the NIV. As they were going out, they met a man from Cyrene named Simon, and they forced him to carry the cross. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink, mixed with gall, but after tasting it, he refused to drink it. When they had crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots, and sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head, they placed the written charge against him, "This is Jesus, King of the Jews." 2 robbers were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you are the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. "He saved others," they said, "but he cannot save himself. He's King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" In the same way, the robbers who were crucified with him also hurled insults on him. From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, darkness came over all the land. About the 9th hour, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling on Elijah." Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar and put it on a stick and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." Jesus is going through such a tormentual death. This is something that we don't even see in modern day Western civilization. Our cruelest thing is probably the electric chair. And so to go through something that lasts hours and it's public, you're insulted in front of everybody. The plate above your head doesn't even say just your name. It says a blasphemous charge against you. But what stands out to me is 2 things. First, the obvious one is that he goes through this for us. He goes through this knowing that I'm going to sin. He goes through this knowing that you are going to sin and doesn't regret it. He never once is up there saying, "Is this really worth it? Is humanity worth it? Are you worth it?" Because you are. Despite the times that you've sinned, despite the times when you haven't done what you ought to have done or done the things you ought not to have done, Jesus doesn't regret this because he desires an eternal friendship and relationship and communion with you. And he knows that this is the most beautiful way to bring you into that salvation. When Jesus cries out, he says, "Why have you forsaken me?" He's quoting a psalm. I'm going to read that to you in its entirety. This is Psalm chapter 22. my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from the words of my groaning? O my God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer, by night, and am not silent. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the praise of Israel. In you our fathers put their trust. They trusted, and you delivered them. They cried to you, and you were saved. In you they trusted, and were not disappointed. But I am a worm, and not a man, scorned by men, and despised by the people. All who seek me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Yet you brought me out of the womb. You made me trust in you. From birth I was cast upon you. From my mother's womb you have been my God. Do not be far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Many bulls surround me. Strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. Roaring lions, tearing their prey, open their mouths wide against me. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted away within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs have surrounded me. A band of evil men has encircled me. They have pierced my hands and my feet, and I can count on all my bones. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing. But you, O Lord, be not far off. O my strength, come quickly to help me. Deliver my life from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Rescue me from the mouth of the lions. Save me from the horns of the wild oxen. I will declare your name to my brothers in the congregation. I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, honor him. Rescue him, all you descendants of Israel. For he has not despised or disdained the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face from him, but has listened to his cry for help. From you comes the theme of my praise in the great assembly. Before those who will fear you will I fulfill my vows. The poor will eat and be satisfied. They who seek the Lord will praise him. May your hearts live forever. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord, and all the families of the nations will bow down before him. For dominion belongs to the Lord, and he rules over the nations. All the rich of the earth will feast and worship. All who go down to the dust will kneel before him, those who cannot keep themselves alive. Posterity will serve him. Future generations will be told about the Lord. They will proclaim his righteousness to a people yet unborn, for he has done it. I love that it seems like Jesus is saying, God, you're not present. My God, why have you forsaken me? But when we recognize in its entirety that Jesus is actually proclaiming full faith in God's presence and in God's salvation. And I think this is the second point I wanted to focus on, is that Jesus only knows that he's going to raise from the dead because God has said so. God promised him, if you die, I will raise you from the dead. And Jesus has proclaimed this his entire life, and now the rubber meets the road. And Jesus goes through this tormentous death, for sure with us in mind, but with full faith in God. That just in the same way that he rescued the Israelites from Egypt because he said he would, and he led them into the promised land, in the same way, Jesus knows that I'm going through this death, and this is awful, and I am hanging here grasping for air and pulling myself up by the weights of my nails to take deep breaths. But yet he knows that something's waiting on the other side.